2023 is destined to be a great year for the UFC with already some big fights scheduled at UFC 283. Light heavyweight title is on the line. Then UFC 284, the best division in the UFC. The lightweight title is on the line between the number 1 and number 2 pound for pound fighters. And then, of course, we still got Khamzat Chimaev waiting in the wings. As usual, the UFC has held him up. Will he get a title shot or not? We'll discuss these topics and more next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is The Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross.
And new. It's over. Oh, a big right hand. Oh my God, bro. Oh, a big right hand. Oh, a big right hand.
Welcome to the Community MMA. It's your boy Chris Cross checking in. We got a couple topics to talk about today. Of course, still Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev remain in the news. And you got a couple guys like Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen weighing in on both these guys. We'll get into that in a moment. But let's begin with Islam Makhachev because, an interesting topic has come up. And that's if Alexander Volkanovski beats Islam, would it be a huge upset? Well, I think a lot of people would think it would be an upset on first thought. And hey, I think it's an upset, right? Because it's Islam Makhachev's division. Volkanovski has to come up, but he hasn't lost yet in the UFC. The guy's undefeated. We should not forget that. The guy is undefeated and has not lost yet in the UFC. So Chael Sonnen, when he's asked this question, says, no, of course not. It's not a big upset, he said on his YouTube channel. Volkanovski is number 1. Islam is number 2. Pound for pound, of course. You have to turn to the pound for pound list. It's the only list both guys are on. So I'm with him on this. I get what he's saying. The only thing is Volkanovski is moving up against a guy who seems like he's going to dominate the division for a while. And this is why I've been saying that we might be in for a big letdown and wake-up call if this thing doesn't go Islam's way. Chael continues. Volkanovski, who's never lost. Volkanovski, who's ranked higher. How would that be shocking news if Volkanovski gets beat? Not only is that something that's never happened before in the UFC, any element of that fight that's going to go against Volk will be something that's never happened before. So, and this is the thing, is we're not factoring in all these things because we just assume that Islam Makhachev is going to win this fight, right? We just assume that he's winning this fight. And that's a big assumption. And I was wrong on Charles Oliveira beating Islam. But now that Islam's won, I'm sold out for Islam. And in his first title defense, he's got the featherweight king coming up to take him on, and a guy who's never lost in the UFC. And if Volkanovski wins this fight, he may be unstoppable. Then there's going to be all these old heads knocking on the door, like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, because they're going to see an avenue where they think they can beat this guy. Islam Makhachev is the toughest in the division right now because of the style matchups of which he can take his opponents down and finish them. Volkanovski may have that in him too, but it's not as prevalent. It plays more into the cards of Dustin Poirier and Gaethje and Chandler, who want to stand and strike. They're not going to do well against Islam, who can take him down, keep him there, and finish him. So I think the whole lightweight division, especially the old heads at the top, are all going to be rooting for Volkanovski. Because if he beats Islam, they're going to be thinking, hey, we got a chance against this guy where we probably didn't have a chance against Volkanovski. Now, they would never tell you this, but I think in the back of their minds, they know we're not beating Volkanovski. So that's that. Then you got Khamzat Chimaev in the news. Gilbert Burns jumping all over him, saying, I took him down. Imagine what Poatan, meaning Alex Pereira, can do. If I was able to knock him down, and considering Pereira's power, his hands must be so heavy. I took him down and he's still trash talk to those guys. Poatan's hands are huge. His hands are huge. This is what Gilbert Burns was saying in a conversation with Super Lattes. So, you got that, and Gilbert Burns continues. It's not that he lost himself. It's that he couldn't find himself. Things happened too fast for him. 3 fights in, and he was already a star. At first, I really liked him. He would call people out and keep fighting. Then he broke character. He's unwilling to make weight. He causes trouble. I like the guy who called anyone out, who would take any fight. But see, this is not Khamzat's fault. This is the UFC's fault. Because when you rise in the rankings, you got the old heads like Colby Covington, not McGregor, but Colby Covington is not going to fight him. And then it's also the UFC's fault because every time a champion goes down, all of a sudden we have to have a rematch. Why wouldn't they just let Khamzat fight Leon Edwards right now? Make Usman fight someone, beat him, and then, but because he was a champ so long and it went to the 5th round, he gets a rematch, but he got knocked out. These are the things I don't understand when it comes to Khamzat Chimaev. It's not his fault. He did what he's supposed to do. He beat Burns. And quite frankly, going up to middleweight is better for Khamzat. I think it's more of a risk to fight at welterweight now because cutting the weight is why he struggles against Gilbert Burns. Let Gilbert Burns come up to 185 and watch how easy Khamzat manhandles him because he's not going to get tired in the 2nd round. He unleashed himself in the first because of the weight loss to make weight. He's done in the 2nd and did everything he could in the 3rd to get that victory, and he should have got the victory. So, yeah, Gilbert Burns knocked him down, but he knocked down a tired Khamzat Chimaev. Taking nothing away from him, he did it. But that's what it is. Altapa Maktapo says the worst part for me is they still have not given Khamzat a title shot or a big fight. It's so annoying. It is annoying. Because the guy's just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And he's beating everybody. And we're going to see guys like Khamzat maybe not as good in the future kind of fizzle away and never get the title shot because of all these rematches holding up the division. You got a rematch in the welterweight. You're going to probably have a rematch in the middleweight. We had a rematch scheduled in the light heavyweight. We got multiple rematches scheduled in the flyweight. Imagine all those contenders, which really, that's the one that makes sense because there's not really a contender that can face off with Moreno and Figueiredo. They're the two dominant, but in every division, it seems like there's rematches now. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get the fact that we have all these rematches. Due list, nothing changing there. Till we get some fights in. Of course, you got Islam versus Alexander, 2 versus 6. Khamzat remains number 1. And if you wonder why we talk about Islam and Khamzat so much, just focus on the dude list. The dude list will tell you everything. We'd love to talk about McGregor if there was something to talk about. We'd love to talk about Covington if there was something to talk about. Number 5, Prochazka, he's out for a year. So the whole dude list top 5 is kind of solidified. Maybe McGregor's got to get moved out in Covington eventually. There's going to be some room. I mean, if Volkanovski wins this, he's got to go way up. Way up. And it would be a shocker. An absolute shocker. Make no mistake about it. Getting back to another topic. Involves Khamzat too, but Andre first said make Shavkat versus Jing Liang. Right? Shavkat Rakhmonov losing his fight to Jeff Neal, who pulled out due to injury, supposedly. So Andre saying, put Jing Liang in there. I say go for it. I think Shavkat's disappointed because, he's looking to move up up as a contender to the top 5. Because you already see what happens to Khamzat. Even when you get there, then it gets tougher because now you're on hold for 8 months. Then they tell you fight one more guy and then you get a title shot, It's like, how long you got to wait? Karabala says Shavkat versus Khamzat. That would be sick. Because that's like a 2 champions going at it. Even though they're not the champions yet because we got all these old hits slowing things down. Someone else weighing in saying they train together now. So that would be highly, highly interesting to me. Khamzat versus Shavkat. Jeez. 2 powerhouses. But I don't want to see them fight until it's for the title. Shavkat's going to keep coming. And if Khamzat waits too long, the welterweight division could be tougher if Shavkat gets the belt. To me, Shavkat's tougher than everyone else in the division. Usman's getting older every day. He may very well reclaim the title like Nunes, but he won't hold on to it for long because the days are numbered. Not like he's going to fall off hard, but, there's not much room for error at the top. When you start getting older and slowing down just a little bit, you're better than the rest of the fighters. But when you start slowing down just a little bit, all of a sudden you don't look better. The fights are closer, and anything can happen. Now, let's get into the prediction of the day, because we got a good one here with Ismail Bonfim. The Bonfim brothers at Dana White's Contender Series are getting in action here at UFC 283. But Ismail Bonfim is taking on Terrence McKinney. And Terrence McKinney's no joke. He's got the knockout power. So let's get into this prediction of the day, and we'll come back and break it down further. In the lightweight division at UFC 283, you got Ismail Bonfim making his UFC debut against a tough Terrence McKinney. Bonfim 18-3, McKinney 13-4. So both guys, despite the debut by Bonfim, come in with a lot of experience in MMA. Now McKinney has a 2-inch height advantage, also a 3-inch reach advantage. He's a switch stance fighter, where Bonfim, the Brazilian, stands right-handed. Now, in Bonfim's debut at Dana White's Contender Series, he landed about 5.7 significant strikes per minute. That number will come way down as competition gets better, but McKinney has maintained an average of about 4.7, which is pretty good. Means he's very active in the octagon. He's also averaged 5 takedowns over 3 rounds to Bonfim's 1. So this is not going to be an easy debut for Bonfim. They're really giving him a test here with Terrence McKinney. Now, Bonfim had 100% takedown defense at the Contender Series, landing 1 takedown and leading in significant strikes over Nariman Abbasov, 85-45. There in significant strikes to get the unanimous decision victory. Now, McKinney came in and got that 7-second knockout over Matt Frevola. He came back and beat Farisian by submission, then suffered a setback against Drew Dober, who we know is a very good fighter, knocked him out in the first round, despite McKinney having 2 takedowns and leading by 20 significant strikes at the time. Then he came back and submitted Eric Gonzalez to really prove himself as a UFC fighter. He's won 3 of his first 4 fights in the UFC, and I don't see anything changing here. I mean, the Bonfim brothers are both coming in with a lot of hype, but Terrence McKinney was coming in with a lot of hype too, and he's backed it up. So the experience is the difference here for me, and the activity and the stats by McKinney so far in the UFC. It's off the charts. I expect McKinney to win this thing, likely by submission, to move to 14-4 here in the lightweight division at UFC 283. Yeah, so, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. But, Terrence McKinney has that knockout power at any time.
Oh, a big right hand!
I mean, you're just standing there going at it. At any time he could land it, or he can come in 7 seconds.
Boom! 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 Boom!
Like he did against Matt Frevola. Welcome to the UFC, Ismail Bonfim. And Bonfim, he's already sort of like a veteran. He knows what's coming. He knows who he's fighting against. But he's got to come in and make sure he stays away from McKinney at first and gets his feet wet a little bit. Don't just go in there and try to slug it out with McKinney, because things may not turn out well for you. And you're in the early prelims, the undercard at UFC 283. And this is when big things like that happen, right? There's always these, there's 15 fights on this card. There's 6 in the early prelims. So it's going to be rapid fire for 2 hours. Like as soon as one fight's over, the next ones are coming up. And these are in the early prelims, these are what sets it off for the rest of the night. So you expect some big finishes, and we might get one here. So just a word to Ismail Bonfim. Watch out for the big right or big left hand at any time. At any time. And I'm looking forward to Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira. I can't wait. He's going to fit 14 fights first, but sometime about 1 in the morning, I really hope Jamal Hill gets that title. I really do. Because that would be the best case scenario after Yuri Prochazka lost the belt or had to vacate it. So a lot of good things coming up though, man. I'm excited about UFC 2023. I don't know about you. I'm excited about it. But until next time, it's your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. Peace.